Oh, they took away the red spot. Am I on? Oh, I'm lost now. Okay. Oh, the lights are so bright. Now, my name is Lelo Mary Thebe. I'm originally from Enyamendlovu. That's the land of elephants, Mkuze, in Matabeleland, Zimbabwe. It's so funny because when I identify myself as my place of birth. But I lost my home when I was 10 years old. I don't know what it looks like today. I haven't been there in the last 24 years. But when I identify myself, I go back to my Matabeleland, Mkuze. The trauma that was created in me for the loss of my land, I didn't choose it, but I carried it all my life. Ecological grief, it is the loss of lands, species, and a way of life. The grief that was in me, trying to identify who I was, trying to find my place on earth. I didn't know it. I didn't know how to identify it. I didn't know if therapy was what I needed to heal myself. What I know now is that I needed a community. I needed a place where I can go to identify my grief and speak to other people that have been in the same place as myself. Ecological grief is a natural response to displacement, to loss of ancestral knowledge, the knowledge that I thought I would pass down to the next generation. Speaking of the next generation, I'd like to acknowledge the youngest member in the audience, my daughter, Zaza. Thank you so much for being here today. She's 9 years old, so she missed school today to attend this talk. She's the inspiration that I'm standing here with my shaky voice and trying to put all the words together. When I look at her, I think of her future. I ask myself, we live in Ireland, and the next few years, what kind of climate crisis will she have to deal with? Will she have to find another place to live when this island is sinking if we do not change our ways of consumerism, if we do not change the way that we're living now in the global north? She is someone that I love and very special to me. I would like you to take a second and think of something that is special to you, something that you love, and what you will do to protect it. When you have it, think of how that is connected to the whole planet. Think of how the actions of someone in North America can affect that one thing that you love. How the air that we breathe is shared. How the water cycles through all of us. Think of how actions of someone in Zimbabwe, whether they plant a seed or they cut down a tree, affects that one thing that you love and are trying to protect. It's not just their actions, it's also your actions that affects that one thing you love. When we speak of ecological grief, I cannot ignore colonization. I cannot ignore wars, climate crisis, and climate change. The effects of ecological grief are seen. I've learned new words now, like eco-anxiety. I was just sharing there, like, I didn't know what eco-anxiety is, but I had it. I didn't know what solastalgia is, but I had it, and I had to find someone that has gone through it to identify it with me, to find a journey to my healing. The impacts of ecological grief, I used to think they affect people in Africa. I used to think, oh, it's in Zimbabwe, we're only there we can see that impact. But I now live in Ballyhonis in the west of Ireland, in Mayo. And the past 3 months, the frequency of storms that we have seen in this country has affected the way of life of Irish people. In the last 3 weeks, it's just yesterday when some other households have been fully restored with electricity. When was the last time the electricity went out in your house? When was the last time you didn't have water in your house? For the last 3 weeks, there are households in Ireland that have been affected by the climate crisis. No access to running water, no electricity in this winter. They go home to freezing houses, no bathing water, no access to cooking. Some of them have never known that from the rest of their life. There might have been a storm, but it has never taken out power lines, disconnected people from everything that they know. So those effects of climate crisis and climate change, they're not just affecting the global south. Slowly but surely, they're coming to the rest of the world. Climate change doesn't pick countries. It's not very picky of who you are or where you are. Sadly, someone like my aunt in Zimbabwe can be affected as well by climate change. And she didn't contribute much to the emissions that we hear about. The pollution that is caused by the developed countries. Someone called them bullies. They are making billions of euros, of dollars, while millions are dying in the global south. Their pollution that they cause in the north affects someone in the south. When I was preparing for this talk, I was looking up stats. I'm like, okay, let me try to be a scientist and come up with numbers, and then I'll give you some numbers. These are the emissions, this is the carbon. I'm like, I don't know anything about those numbers. There are scientists in this place. I think they'll give you those numbers. But this is the lived experience. This is life as we see it and know it. My aunt 3 weeks ago fell very sick. She had diarrhea, vomiting. As the week went by, the whole community started complaining of cholera, all these diseases in Zimbabwe, in Bulawayo. This is a small town. They have built themselves nice houses, only to find out that the community got sick because their water that they were drinking from their taps had fecal contamination. You see, Zimbabwe has been affected by severe droughts. After the droughts, then flash floods. Their tap water got contaminated with sewage water. But as their way of life, they're used to drinking water from their tap. Not once did she think, oh, that water might make me sick today. But she did. Almost lost her life. The impact of that disrupts her nervous system. She doesn't trust the tap that comes out of her water anymore. But she doesn't have the privilege to go to the grocery store and buy water to drink. She doesn't have the electricity that runs in her house 24 hours where she can boil her water and drink it, because that's what is recommended. Boil your water before you drink it. There's no electricity. It comes for 2 hours, you cook your food, you eat. You want to drink water? If it's not boiled, then it's going to make you sick. So, talking about that and colonization at its core removes people from their land, removes people from their beliefs, from who they are. Their identity is taken away. Zimbabwe has been colonized, and it hasn't gone away. Still today we see those signs. Gosh, it's our way of life, you know. I was talking today, I'm glad to say Amani is here. Last year we had a grief retreat, which I helped to facilitate with my friends, sowing seeds of healing justice. We're going to have one again this year. We spoke about Palestine. I cannot speak about displacement without mentioning the people of Gaza Strip. Being displaced from their land, all for what? And we sit here like it's not urgent, you know. We are relaxed, sit back. It's going to be, you know, they're going to find place in Ireland, in Egypt, in Jordan. You are removing people from their land, erasing their history. I cannot talk about war without mentioning Congo. Congo lays bare, so that I can have my iWatch, so that I can have the latest iPhone, so that we can have faster jets. We disrupt and destroy and cause disease in Congo, the richest nation in the world. They lay poor, infested by disease, war. God. We send aid. We send aid to Congo. For what? They don't need aid. They've got all the riches. So today, I want to invite you to take action. Educate someone. I'm able to stand here and speak today because of the Friends of the Earth. My journey with them has led me to learn, to understand what it means to be affected by climate change, to understand what climate crisis is. So please join a campaign, support a campaign, anything that you can do to fight the bullies, anything you can do to fight these corporations. In our retreat this May that we'll be having, we support women and men, we educate each other, we share knowledge. As I said, not all of us need therapy. Some of us just need communities that are free to come together. And together, I believe that if we keep telling our stories, if we keep sharing, our voices are like rivers going into an ocean. And the ocean has no choice but to receive the water. So are we when we keep telling our stories, campaigning, protest. The bullies, the people in power, we have no choice but to hear us. Thank you.